Hi everybody, welcome back to Go Big Bore or Go Home, where recoil is required. Why? Because we're the house of the rising gun. I'm your host Sean, and this week I wanted to do an extension of a previous video about my BFR and 500 JRH and how it had a catastrophic failure. I had a number of people who were asking questions, some who weren't asking questions, they were making more accusations, and while I'm not trying to call people out, I am trying to answer some of those questions, give more information that would clear up some confusion, and in fairness, defend myself a little bit from some of these accusations that came my way. So let's get down to business. A month or so ago, I released a video about blowing up my BFR and 500 JRH. And I had kind of explained what had happened. I will show the video here. So if you haven't seen that video, you can kind of become acquainted.
Well, that puts a damper on things.
Some people didn't believe me when I said what had happened was there was a crack in the barrel that had been filling with leading, copper fouling, and eventually became a bore obstruction which split the barrel. So I wanted to address a few of the comments that were made, questions that people had, and kind of try and maybe clear up some of the confusion. And in doing so, I actually spoke to MRI to get more details, and there was a little bit of a misunderstanding on my part. So let's go into all of that. First is this comment here. Now, the accusation is that I screwed up a reload. In fairness, this was my first thought. I was looking at the barrel and thinking, I screwed something up, you know, this is reloaded ammunition, I overpressured it. Recently, I called Magnum Research, like I said, and I want to make a special shout out to Scott, who is one of the guys over there in repairs, great guy, and also to the guy who does the actual repairs on any BFR that comes in, and that's Brett. Brett, if you're watching, thank you so much for taking time out of your day to talk to me about this. If the problem with the gun had been a bad reload, we would not have seen barrel damage, we would have seen damage to the cylinder and to the frame. And I'll try and find a picture I can put up for you guys. When there's a problem with an overcharged load or a double charged load or an overpressured load, the cylinder will typically crack. Sometimes it will get blown in half, and the frame, the top strap here, will either be bent or it will just be blown off, which is what Brett confirmed. He said, when I've seen people who have overloaded the 500 JRH or the 500 Smith & Wesson Magnum, the top strap is usually just gone. As you can see from the picture I'm going to put up here, the damage was all in front of the frame and it was in the barrel. So there was no damage to the frame, there's no damage to the cylinder. When Brett got it, it needed a new barrel, a new ejector rod housing, and a new ejector rod. That's it. The base pin was even fine, if you can believe it. Secondly, the guy here felt like it was necessary to make a comment about me almost looking down the barrel. No, if you look in the video, and I'll show it again, as I'm examining the damage, I did look at the gun like this. Note this is still here, and I had it down lower, but I ended up turning the gun almost like this and tilting it slightly so that I could see if the crack had run the entire length of the barrel. And admittedly, I was kind of in a state of shock, like what just happened? But no. So I didn't look down the barrel, but thank you for playing. So the next one I got, and this is a fair question, I think, which was someone saying to me that they were kind of worried. They're like, I find it hard to believe a squib load that previously happened in this revolver caused the problem. Now, this is an area where I talked to Brett directly. Previously, I'd spoken to someone else. I don't remember if it was Scott or not. And I had postulated to them the issue with the previous squib load to recount my assessment. I had said that, and this is true, it wasn't a direct squib load. I had a 50 Action Express round from a factory, so it wasn't a reload, that had not fully ignited, and I had a few guesses as to what happened. The actual manufacturer believed that either the bullet had scooted out and gotten some air in there. Another person who I spoke to, who is a well-known reloader and gunsmith in the field, I didn't get permission to bring up his name, so I'm not going to. he postulated because of some yellow particulate that was on the firearm that it was a bad primer. Either way, the bullet got shoved into the barrel, and unlike most squib loads where it stays at the forcing cone, it actually went pretty far. And it had a large wad of powder, which I'll again show here, that was behind it. So unlike a squib load where it was just a primer, some of the powder actually went off and ignited. It just didn't go very far. And trying to get that out of the barrel is where I think if that caused damage, that's where it happened, because it was really stuck, and I had to tape a steel rod so that it wouldn't scratch the barrel, put it down the barrel of the gun, and then hit it with a hammer, and it took a Herculean effort to get it out. It was one heck of a lodged bullet. I do believe that could have cracked the barrel. Did it? I have no idea. I can't say. And I asked Brett about that, and I said, now, my understanding is that's the problem. And he said, oh, hold up. He said, let me tell you what I can say and what I can't say. He said, when the gun came to me, there was nothing directly in it as far as a direct bore obstruction, but that is the most likely cause, is a bore obstruction. So, he said specifically what was obstructing it, I can't tell you because it wasn't there anymore. But he said, what I did see was there were places in the barrel where there was debris built up, like leading and some copper. And he said if that had gotten to a point where it was sticking in the way of the barrel, it absolutely could have created extra pressure and split it. So it's possible that there was a crack in the barrel that filled and eventually became a bore obstruction. He said more commonly what he sees is a cleaning patch. That blew my mind. A cleaning patch actually got lodged in the barrel. Typically, the last thing I do is I'll take the gun up like this, the cylinder will be out, and I will take a cleaning patch that's soaked in oil, put it here, and then I'll take it, just loose, and I will take a cleaning rod, and I'll just poke it through until it comes out. So I see it fall through. The idea is just to give a light coat of oil so that while this is sitting in my safe, it's protected from grime, it's protected from any humidity. Not much in Arizona, confessedly, but it's protected. So I'm pretty good about not leaving cleaning patches in there. That doesn't mean there couldn't have been part of a patch, or I suggested this to Brett, because I use a lot of lead bullets, and they usually have gas checks, which I'll illustrate what that is here. They're made of copper, they're not firmly attached, and part of one or the whole gas check could come off and get lodged in the barrel. I have even heard of not only gas checks getting knocked off, but jackets getting knocked off, which creates a bore obstruction, which again, split barrel. And he said, yeah, that is possible. You could have gotten a gas check, part of a gas check, and that could have done it. I do know for a fact 44 Magnums typically see 500 rounds their whole existence, because most people don't shoot them like I shoot them. My 44 Magnum gets 500 rounds a year at minimum. And I've definitely put 500-600 rounds through this gun at least. So it wouldn't be surprising to me if this previous barrel had any flaw whatsoever. I found it. That could have happened. Okay? And in speaking to a few other people, in particular, Jack Huntington of JRH Advanced Gunsmithing, when I was talking to him about it, he said, I prefer chrome moly steel when I make my custom revolvers because it's stronger. He said, I replace fewer chrome moly steel barrels in rifles, in revolvers, in anything compared to stainless. He said, I've seen more stainless steel barrels split and give up the ghost. So again, I put a lot of rounds through my guns. It could have been a bore obstruction from part of a cleaning patch. It could have been part of a gas check, part of a jacket, piece of lead from a previous bullet. There's no way to know exactly what it was. Did the previous squib load or squib-like load cause a problem? It's possible. He did say it's possible. He just can't guarantee it. But if it did crack the barrel, it is possible that that's where something got stuck and obstructed it. So, one thing he was sure of, and I'm going to pull this back up. This comment here said, someone said, clearly there was a bullet stuck in the barrel. He absolutely told me unequivocally, as I had guessed, no, there was not a previous bullet lodged in the barrel. And the reason we know that is, again, look at the damage. You can see it cracked right at the in front of the frame, and it was a very clean crack forward and split like a fork. What does it look like when you have a bullet lodged in a barrel? Here's an example. So as you can see here, this is a BFR in 4570. I found this image, and there was a bullet that got lodged in the barrel. Where the bullet got lodged in the barrel, you will see a bulge, and you can see that's where the two bullets hit and blew up. And again, I'm going to bring up the picture here. There's no bulge in this barrel. So there was no bullet. It wasn't a bad reload. Most likely cause, bore obstruction caused by something not necessarily huge, but big enough to create extra pressure to crack the barrel, or unlikely but possible, the barrel was not the strongest barrel they had, and a luck of the draw, I got the bad one. It happens, okay? So that's a couple things I wanted to clear up, and I hope that helps. I hope that answers some questions. And I did have one other thing. The gentleman who was talking about the bullet and barrel also mentioned, are you expecting me to believe that the strongest revolvers had the same problem that on two different barrels? I don't buy it. If you guys remember, this had a problem with the barrel cracking after the frame. My 500 Smith & Wesson Magnum didn't have that same issue. Okay, so on the 500 Smith & Wesson Magnum, it was at the forcing cone right in front of the cylinder, it experienced a crack in the barrel. So right there at the barrel face, there was a crack. Again, here's a picture of that. And I'll see if it's visible here in the pictures. There was more wear and tear on one side of the barrel than the other, meaning the bullet was hitting one side of the barrel harder than it was hitting the other, and that's where it cracked. And we all agreed that for whatever reason the revolver was doing this, since there was more pressure, more energy hitting that side of the barrel, that was what caused the crack. I'm just saying, none of us really know exactly what the issue was that caused that misalignment to create uneven wear, but that cracked the barrel. And to wrap this all up, I want to address the part where he said you expect the strongest revolver in the world to have two of the exact same problem. I don't buy it. Well, you should, and here's why. And you can verify this with Magnum research if you'd like. I spoke to Scott about this. I reiterated it with Brett, and he said, yes, that is correct. Every firearm, when it's manufactured, is made with a failure point because at some point or another, a gun is going to fail. Nothing lasts forever. On the BFR, the design failure point is the barrel. It's not weak. It's not designed to be a weak barrel. I want to be very clear on that. But the reason that they designed it this way is the most likely thing to fail is the barrel, so that if there's a barrel crack, if there's a barrel split, like with my JRH, everything gets shot away from the shooter, keeping them safe, which I'll show again real quick, the clip of me as I shoot, and you can see the ejector rod housing and the ejector rod go forward and to the side away from me. The bullet at the obstruction or whatever caused it went away from me. This is exactly what Magnum Research wants to keep the shooter safe. And honestly, thanks fellas, it kept me safe and I'm really, really grateful. Anyway, I realize it's been a little bit of a long video, but I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please click like and subscribe for more content. If you didn't enjoy it, I really appreciate you getting through the video and giving us a chance to earn your subscription. So thank you. And as always, guys, go big bore or go home.